In the bygone era of the silver screen, cigarette smoke curled around the figures of actors and actresses, a symbol of allure and defiance. This was a time when smoking was not just a habit, but an emblem of status and character. Here, we delve into the stories of the top 10 smokers of Hollywood's yesteryears. Bette Davis. Bette Davis, the indomitable leading lady of Warner Brothers, was as notorious for her smoking as she was for her acting prowess. With a career that spanned over 6 decades, she was often seen with a cigarette both on and off the screen. Her habit was so ingrained that she was known to smoke up to 4 packs a day, and was rarely seen without a cigarette in hand, even during interviews. Despite the risks associated with her heavy smoking, Davis reached the age of 81. Renowned for her relentless pursuit of authenticity in her roles, if Davis played a character who smoked, she smoked as they would, continuously and convincingly. While she was never formally the face of a tobacco brand, her frequent on-screen smoking became an inadvertent endorsement. During one particular tribute event, her longtime friend and fellow actor Henry Fonda playfully commented on his multiple cigarette-burn scars from their years of friendship, underscoring just how much her smoking was a part of her persona. Bette Davis's contribution to cinema was as significant as her smoking habit. She set a record as the first actress to receive 5 consecutive Academy Award nominations, winning 2 of them. Even though smoking was a characteristic part of her image, it's reported that only about a quarter of her films actually featured her with a cigarette. Her dedication to the realism of her character's habits was so intense that she couldn't stand to be without a cigarette for more than 10 minutes, a testament to the addiction that had taken hold of her. Ironically, it wasn't a smoking-related illness that took her life, but breast cancer. Yet, it is said that she continued with her 100 cigarettes a day habit until her final days. Errol Flynn. In the late 1930s, Errol Flynn soared to fame with his swashbuckling roles in hits like The Charge of the Light Brigade, The Adventures of Robin Hood, and The Private Lives of Elizabeth and Essex. Off-screen, his life was as tumultuous as his on-screen adventures. Sharing a residence with David Niven, dubbed Cirrhosis by the Sea, the pair became legendary for their raucous soirees. Despite Niven's quip that Flynn would invariably let you down, he couldn't help but admire Flynn's capacity for drink. He recounted anecdotes of Flynn and John Huston resorting to fisticuffs for amusement at lackluster parties. Flynn's penchant for excess wasn't limited to alcohol. He was also known for his creative ways of sneaking vodka onto sets within oranges, and had a troubling dependence on opium. These vices, coupled with his hedonistic lifestyle, began to manifest in his deteriorating appearance. Errol Flynn's life was marred by scandal. Despite his magnetic screen presence, he was embroiled in salacious rumors and legal troubles, including allegations of statutory rape in 1942. Though acquitted with the help of Warner Brothers attorneys, the shadow of these accusations dimmed the luster of his career. By the late 1940s, Flynn's health was in decline, a direct result of his relentless indulgence in drink, drugs, and tobacco. Though he saw a career resurgence in the 1950s, often portraying characters who mirrored his own struggles with addiction, his body bore the irreversible scars of his lifestyle. At just 50 years old, Flynn's life ended abruptly with a heart attack in the apartment of Dr. Grant Gould in Vancouver, Canada. He had been there to sell his cherished yacht, Zaka, to George Caldo, a decision driven by financial desperation. The yacht had been his home during his twilight years. The post-mortem examination revealed a man whose body bore the age of someone 25 years his senior, with a liver so damaged that he was likely only months away from death regardless of his final heart attack. It was a stark and somber testament to the heavy price of Flynn's storied but ultimately tragic life of excess. Humphrey Bogart. Diving into the life of Humphrey Bogart, we find a man whose on-screen charisma helped to glamorize smoking, yet off-screen, he would suffer the dire consequences of his own tobacco use. Known for his 2-pack-a-day habit and penchant for heavy drinking, Bogart's persistent cough and the mental fog from his alcohol consumption were undeniable marks of his lifestyle. The integration of smoking into his on-screen presence had a rather unique inception. In the early days of his career, scripts often contained lengthy monologues but lacked significant physical direction. During one tedious shoot, Bogart quipped to the director that the only thing that could make the scene interesting would be if a pair of camels were to perform an indecorous act in the background. While this off-color joke did not change the director's mind, it led to a suggestion that would define Bogart's cinematic image: start smoking to enliven the monologues. This subtle change had a dual effect. Firstly, it gave Bogart a physical action to punctuate his speeches, adding a layer of nuance to his performances. Secondly, the image of him drawing on a cigarette intensified the audience's focus on his expressions, drawing them deeper into the character's psyche. As a result, Bogart's characters became inextricably linked with the smoke that curled from his lips, and cigarettes even garnered the nickname bogies in popular culture. Yet this emblematic habit had far-reaching effects. It not only influenced countless fans to take up smoking in emulation of their idol's cool demeanor, but it also led to Bogart's own health decline. For years, Bogart ignored the persistent cough and other troubling symptoms until 1956, when he finally sought medical advice. The diagnosis was as stark as it was late: esophageal cancer, a direct result of his long-standing relationship with cigarettes. This grave illness ultimately brought an end to his illustrious career and life, a poignant testament to the dangerous allure of smoking he had once so effectively portrayed. Sammy Davis Jr. The Rat Pack, with its members like Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Sammy Davis Jr., epitomized the epitome of cool. Their on-stage antics of drinking, womanizing, and smoking were part of their charm. Yet it's come to light that much of this was a show. They'd often sip apple juice as a stand-in for whiskey during performances. Contrary to the image they projected, these men were often the recipients of attention rather than the instigators. However, when it came to smoking, there was no pretense, and Sammy Davis Jr. was a case in point. Davis Jr. was known not just for his talents, but also his smoking habit, which he indulged even on stage, incorporating it into his act. His act of taking a drag mid-performance and exhaling smoke with the next note became one of his trademarks. Though it seemed stylish, it was detrimental to his health. Nat King Cole had cautioned Sammy about the risks to his vocal cords due to the heat from the cigarette smoke, but this advice went unheeded. In the 1980s, when vocal problems arose for Sammy, his manager insisted on a visit to a throat specialist, who confirmed what Nat King Cole had predicted. The smoking had caused inflammation and nodules on Sammy's vocal cords. Jackie Gleason. Jackie Gleason became a household name as the boisterous Ralph Cramden in The Honeymooners, charming audiences across the nation with his dynamic presence and comedic genius. His substantial figure was as much a part of his identity as his larger-than-life personality, which captivated fans far and wide. Gleason's robust frame, fluctuating between 230 and 330 pounds, was a testament to his unrestrained lifestyle. His love for food was legendary. He was known to partake in lavish multi-course meals, often capping them off with a staggering gallon of ice cream, to the amazement of those around him. But it wasn't just his Epicurean delights that marked Gleason's indulgent life. His affinity for alcohol was profound, with whiskey being his beverage of choice. He famously referred to a scotch on the rocks as his cream bun on ice, and seldom spent his hours in sobriety. Coupled with this, he was a prodigious smoker, going through 5 packs of cigarettes a day with an ease that belied the damage it was doing to his health. These habits inevitably impacted his mobility and even his vitality. Gleason himself once humorously noted that, "Sex for a fat man is much ado about puffing," a nod to how his physical condition influenced all facets of his existence. Sadly, Gleason continued his pattern of overindulgence until it led to his untimely death from colon cancer at the age of 71. He left behind a comedic legacy that is remembered fondly, as well as a stark reminder of the potential consequences of living life without restraint. Rod Serling. Rod Serling, the creative force behind The Twilight Zone, was recognized as a genius in the television industry. Despite his professional achievements, personal fulfillment eluded him. Plagued by self-doubt, Serling sought solace in smoking and drinking, a recourse that escalated after the show ended. Fearing he couldn't replicate the success of The Twilight Zone, Serling found himself adrift, consuming alcohol excessively and smoking 4 packs of cigarettes daily. He bounced between various projects, even taking acting roles, but his internal battles with self-loathing and doubt were relentless. In 1975, Serling's lifestyle caught up with him, necessitating bypass surgery for a clogged artery. Unfortunately, during the surgery, his heart, weakened by years of abuse, failed. At the age of 50, Rod Serling passed away, a stark reminder of the toll that such vices can take on the body. Yul Brynner. The landscape of Hollywood history is dotted with personalities who unabashedly embrace their smoking habits, yet Yul Brynner's story stands apart. The actor, renowned for his magnetic roles in cinema and his distinguished performances on Broadway, harbored a grave secret: his prodigious consumption of 5 packs of cigarettes per day. Brynner's battle with this addiction had a dire outcome. Lung cancer claimed his life, a direct consequence of years of relentless smoking. In the face of this personal tragedy, however, Brynner committed to a powerful mission. He recorded a public service announcement for the American Cancer Society, a message that was both somber and resolute. In the commercial, his voice, now rough and weakened, carried a poignant message to the audience. He urged them to avoid the path he had taken, with the stark admission that the warning was being broadcast after his demise, underlining the gravity of his counsel. His intense gaze and the earnestness in his voice resonated deeply as he said, "Now that I'm gone, don't smoke. Whatever you do, just don't smoke." This profound message originated from his appearance on Good Morning America, during which he was asked what he would say to smokers if he could communicate from the afterlife. Brynner's transformation from a picture of vitality to a shadow of his former self, ravaged by the effects of lung cancer, was startling. His struggle and subsequent fate served as a poignant testament to the dangers of smoking, leaving a legacy that underscored the fatal cost of such an addiction. Spencer Tracy. Spencer Tracy's storied career in Hollywood was overshadowed by personal battles with alcoholism, chain smoking, reliance on medication, and struggles with his weight. As he entered his 60s, the toll of these vices became evident, threatening his once robust health. On July 21, 1963, a severe breathlessness episode signaled a dire turn in his condition, landing him in the hospital and marking a pivotal moment in his life. Tracy's health continued to decline, and in July 1965, he was diagnosed with hypertensive heart disease, a condition that loomed over him, a grim reminder of life's impermanence. The following year was fraught with health scares, pushing Tracy to the brink. His home became both his refuge and his prison, as he could no longer maintain his previous active lifestyle. Throughout these challenging times, Katharine Hepburn's unwavering support was his solace. Tracy's enduring bond with Hepburn was a beacon of hope, illustrating the profound impact of love and companionship amid life's roughest storms. Clark Gable. In Hollywood's golden age, Clark Gable ascended to legendary status as an emblematic figure of American cinema, often hailed as the King of Hollywood. His rise to stardom was cemented with his iconic role as Rhett Butler in the 1939 classic Gone with the Wind, where he starred opposite the enthralling Vivien Leigh. Gable's prowess as an actor earned him 3 Oscar nominations and an Academy Award win for his performance in It Happened One Night. His last film, The Misfits, would later be recognized as a poignant capstone to his illustrious career. But Gable's journey was not confined to the silver screen. At the peak of his celebrity in 1942, he made the astonishing choice to enlist in the U.S. Army Air Forces. As a captain, he led a motion picture unit, taking to the skies with the 351st Bomb Group to document their missions in a gunnery training film. His military adventure took him primarily to the UK, where he was stationed at RAF Polbrook. At Polbrook, Gable's bravery knew no bounds. He participated in 5 combat missions as an observer gunner on B-17 flying fortresses, venturing into enemy territory, including Germany. His valor earned him the Air Medal and the Distinguished Flying Cross. Even Adolf Hitler, bizarrely, regarded Gable with high esteem, allegedly placing a personal bounty on him, hoping to capture the actor unscathed. Upon his return from service, Gable was promoted to major, adding a chapter of bravery to his legacy. However, his life came to a premature end on November 16, 1960 in Los Angeles, after suffering a 4th heart attack. His health had been undermined by years of smoking, 3 packs of unfiltered cigarettes a day for over 3 decades, along with frequent cigars and pipe smoking. Clark Gable was laid to rest at Forest Lawn Memorial Park Cemetery in Glendale, California. His story, marked by fame, adventure, and courage, continues to resonate and inspire, transcending generations. John Wayne. John Wayne, the epitome of the American cowboy and hero in cinema, dominated the box office in a career spanning over 170 films. With his towering 6 and 4 inches frame and commanding presence, Wayne became synonymous with rugged characters, from lawmen to soldiers. Yet behind the scenes, Wayne's lifestyle choices planted the seeds for health issues. From his high school days, Wayne was a prolific smoker, a habit that persisted throughout his life. His penchant for cigarettes was only matched by his heavy drinking, which, over time, began to sour his demeanor, especially as the day wore on. During his later films, directors aimed to wrap up morning shoots to avoid the adverse impact of alcohol on his performance. Wayne's endorsement of Camel cigarettes in the 50s only compounded his smoking habit, peaking at a staggering 7 packs a day. The consequences of such excess were inevitable. In 1964, Wayne endured a major surgery to remove a significant portion of his left lung. 15 years later, stomach cancer, likely exacerbated by his smoking, led to his demise at 72. As these tales of Hollywood's elite remind us, while the glamour of the silver screen may have once glamorized smoking, the real-life consequences are far from glamorous. The stories of these stars serve as a cautionary tale about the risks associated with smoking, even as some found the strength to overcome their addictions and become beacons of inspiration to others. Thank you for joining us today. Until the next video, take care.